All right, and we are back for part two of our year-end review. Uh, let's just jump into it.
Biggest disappointments for 2021. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just start out there. I'll let Chris touch on his game because I know what he wants to touch on. But mine's gonna be Back for Blood. I was hyped. Because I love Left 4 Dead. The studio killed it with Left 4 Dead. I was like, oh hell yeah, a new style Left 4 Dead. Let's go. It came out. Terrible.
Hell yeah, I'm ready. What are we doing again?
Literally, the most fun I had in that game was killing each other in the practice range before the game started.
Oh, it was in the practice range before you launched the mission. Yeah, it was just freaking trolling your teammate because they had no idea what was going on and they kept fucking dying. And they're like, "What the fuck? Why do I keep getting killed?"
Yeah, you can tell there's a running theme with us, and when we're playing co-op games together, the most fun we have is murdering each other.
But there's a difference between that when like comparing it to Deep Red Galactic, right? Where
Sure.
like, the most fun we have playing that game is not playing the game, and it's because playing the game is so enjoyable, and then there's this extra stuff on top of it that makes
it's like an extra mode.
Whereas Back for Blood, like, legitimately was just not fun to play, and the only reason we were having fun is because of like our personalities.
Right. Yeah.
Killing each other is funny to us, and if that's not funny to your specific group that you're playing with, you're not having fun playing that game.
Yeah. But it was very disappointing. I think we were all excited for a new 4-player co-op that was going to be a fun sequel to Left 4 Dead, and we just got Left 4 Dead again, and we were like, well, that's not fun. That's not worth it. You gotta give me something new and exciting.
Biggest disappointment, Garrett.
So anyone who bought a PS5 at launch might have been hyped for this game. It was a game called Destruction All-Stars. It originally was going to be a launch game, then they pushed it back. Then they made it free to everyone who had PlayStation Plus, which was already a bunch of red flags. But it looked really cool. It looked like a Twisted Metal type game. Every character was this cool cartoony guy, and they all had different abilities. But essentially, the game was just drive around and hit the other cars, and your ability essentially makes your car hit a little harder. No guns or anything, just hit cars. And they tried to make it a competitive game. It just didn't work. It was very boring. I really tried to get into it. It was just bad.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Chris, what you got to say?
Okay. This might make a lot of people mad. Halo Infinite is not only a bad game, it's not a game.
Huge disclaimer.
Garrett just got up from his computer and he literally just walked out of frame.
Huge disclaimer. This is Chris's personal opinion. This is not the group's opinion.
It's half a game. It's half a
right.
game. It's not even completed. This is my entire problem with like the video game industry as a whole right now is like the beta release bullshit that everybody's doing with microtransactions and all this bullshit, right? That like these developers are just not making games and then selling it to people, and stupid idiots buy it. And then
Chris, they're making 60% of a game.
They're making it easily 40% of a game, maybe. There's no campaign. They didn't make a campaign. Now. There is now, 2 months after the game came out. There still isn't a co-op campaign, which has always been the best thing about the Halo games. And
I totally agree.
And I can't play the game anymore. I literally cannot. The only way to play the game is to just play online with people. But Halo Online multiplayer used to be so much fun because it was the same maps and everybody got the same access, and the only thing that made you better than somebody else was your skill at the game. And now they have just gone away with that. They've gone to the Call of Duty model where just the more you play, you just automatically win more. And it is bullshit. That's all I have to say about that.
I will say there are game modes on multiplayer that are pure skill. There's still SWAT. I think it's called Team Tactical, and that game is fun as fuck. It's the only game mode that I really like.
Did it exist when the game was originally launched? No, it didn't.
Again,
No, it did not.
Again, they're
Stop
launching...
releasing unfinished games, you fuckers.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
No one will judge that one.
So I know a lot of games have done this where they make a lot of promises and they just don't fulfill. Like Anthem, I can think of. But how much did this game cost when it was released?
Okay, Halo multiplayer
They
was
charged
free.
nothing. You know why? Because they weren't releasing a fucking game.
I mean, yes, I completely agree. They should have never released the full campaign until they had everything completely done. But I also love that literally anyone can play this for free and just do the multiplayer and just never touch the campaign and just don't pay anything.
Yeah, they released it free to play with pay for cosmetics.
Yeah.
Just the free to play, only multiplayer with no campaign, no extra modes, like all these other things that should have been in the game, that would be a complete game, that every other Halo game before this has been. And they didn't do that, and they didn't do it intentionally because they knew people would spend money on the battle pass, and they knew people would spend money later on the campaign, even with all the bullshit that they've been doing for years. That is my problem with this game.
They should have done is they should have waited till everything was completed and they were ready for full release. But obviously they were getting pushed. But no, we're gonna stop there. There.
Yeah, we gotta move on.
You want me to scream into a microphone for 40 minutes? I will.
No. Austin, go ahead. What's best sequel remake of 2021?
This is a very clear winner for me. Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts 2.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What a wonderful sequel. All game developers in the world, take note. This is how you make a sequel. You don't deviate from the original game. You follow up on the original timeline. You expand that original story. And you keep what made the gameplay fun. And you just expand and add a few new things. You add some new powers. Some really cool new creative levels. You add some fun new characters. And you don't spend your whole time going back to nostalgia for the old game. You just make a good new game in the same style. And oh my god, Psychonauts 2 was so much fun. Whether you played the first one or not, this game totally stands on its own. It is a platformer and kind of a collect-a-thon. There's lots of fun stuff to discover in every level. The cool thing about this is the whole concept is you are a bunch of like psychic kids in a psychic training camp, and the way that the levels play out is you go into somebody's mind, and so everybody's mind is different. You go into a dentist's mind and everything is made of like teeth and tongues, and it's kind of disgusting and weird. And you go into a gardener's mind and everything is like plants and growing, and the way that you move around is by, watering things to make them grow and things like that. Every level feels really unique, and the game is just full of puns and hilarious little wordplay jokes. And if you like puns about brains and minds, you can't go wrong with Psychonauts 2. If you like platformers, got a little retro feel to it, fantastic game. Highly, highly recommend. If you are a fan of like Donkey Kong 64 or Banjo-Kazooie, it's going to have that same kind of vibe to it. You're going around exploring and finding secrets, and definitely best remake for a game that came out in 2005. They did an incredible job. Highly recommend.
I have two for this. In terms of best remake, I felt Diablo Resurrected was an amazing way to keep the essence of the original, but put in a bunch of quality of life additions that make the game run smoother. And I love the toggle between being able to play what the old graphics look like to now and just seeing how terrible they were. But in terms of best sequel, I would have to say Hitman 3. The Hitman games have always been really fun. They're kind of a sandbox game where you have to figure out how to kill your target. And there's definitely a training wheels way where you figure out stuff about the level and you can kill it in the way the game wants you to, or you can just kind of, where the guy's going to be already from other playthroughs and just kind of figure out your own way to kill. I have to say the reason I loved Hitman 3 so much is if you have any save data from any of the previous games, you get the entire backlog of games and levels in this one game. which is nice because all the older games are upscaled to PS5 graphics. And it's really neat to either replay or play some of the ones I've never played because they're all these beautiful, huge landscapes that you really just get to mess around with. But the level that really makes this game shine is there's a Victorian household where you have to kill two members of this family, and there's a whole mystery behind one of the members of the family just died. When you first get to the level, you see a detective and you can take out the detective, steal his clothes, and then you are actually the detective in this murder mystery, and you have to deduce who killed which person. And it's very entertaining to go through and question the people, and it feels like a completely different game. Yeah, they just put a ton of time into that level and all the levels in all these games. They just put so much time into some things you'll never even see unless you go this whole story path. And I think this game does what every good sequel does. It has all the elements of the original games and just improves upon it.
So let's come to the final 3 awards of the year, which is basically best game of the year. And we just broke it up by sort of price point. First category is best budget game. This is $20 or less. I have my game. I talked about Inscription earlier. That costs $20. And I think if you are a fan of puzzle games at all, if you used to play Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day, you're going to love this game. And if you're a fan of like escape rooms and logic puzzles like that, you're also going to love this game. Highly recommend for $20.
And I mean, I know Chris obviously hates it, but honestly, the Halo Infinite for free multiplayer, it's great. It brings back the Halo days of old with Halo 3, Halo 2 online play. It's fun. Some of the things are terrible. Matchmaking is kind of iffy at times, but it's still, you can't really beat free for a multiplayer game. It's free. It's fun. You can't be free.
You can't beat the fact that anyone you've played Halo with in the past can download this game for free and immediately start playing it with you. I've played with so many people that I haven't played games with in years, and it's been great.
Right. So, I mean, those are kind of our two $20 or less. There's not many of the $20 less, but next we'll jump into the best of the rest, $20 to $50 games. Chris?
It's It Takes Two, and there's no other option.
Agreed.
Yep,
Yep.
he's right.
There is no option between that $20 to $50 price point.
It's the best game of 2021. And it's cheaper than every game that's more expensive than it. Like,
100%.
like it's better than
Oh, yeah.
every game that costs $60. So it's the best one between $20 and $50.
Best $60 release. Austin's got his opinions on these ones.
I think Returnal is the standout AAA game of the year. Unfortunately, only available for PlayStation 5 owners. There are definitely some of the games we've talked about here were in the running, but for me, Returnal was a really, really standout experience. We didn't really get into it, but it's a roguelike. It's a third-person shooter, so it feels like, I don't know, like Gears of War or Mass Effect or something with the shooting, but the combat is high energy and like you have to constantly be moving, and so the combat is fast and furious and really, really fun, and the number of different weapons and the different upgrades for them are just a ton of fun. I think for $60, if you have a PlayStation 5, you cannot miss Returnal. You're going to have a ton of fun playing it. The story is a bunch of gobbledygook and it doesn't end well. But don't worry about that because fighting all the monsters and bosses is so good that it doesn't matter.
Also, I'd like to add that the haptic feedback in the PS5 controller, when it clicks down, there's like a half click and a full click. And it's one of the best applications of the controller so far, I think. So if you own a PS5, I think it's the best game on there right now.
For me, the best $60 release this year was Metroid Dread. It was the sequel to Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance that I have wanted ever since that game came out. Everything that encompasses that. It's just exactly Metroid Fusion 2. That's what I wanted for years. They nailed it.
Yeah, I never played Fusion, but I played Super Metroid, and this felt like a spiritual successor to that, and it was very well executed. I really enjoyed Dread.
Yeah, and I'm going to say the $60 release is going to be Psychonauts 2. It's fantastic. A well-made game. They capitalized on a fantastic original release of the game and just ran with it and they killed it. So those are kind of our rewards for what we think is 2021 in a whole.
Overall game of the year, my vote, It Takes Two, no question.
Yep. I agree.
Second, it Takes Two killed it. It was just the best game for the year all around.
Yep. What are we looking forward to playing in 2022, fellas?
Well, the soonest one is Elden Ring.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Elden Ring, and we're all forward looking.
Yeah,
to
we
that
all
one.
we all just pre-ordered Elden Ring this week. So
especially coming from Chris, who will not pre-order things. Chris,
I hate pre-ordering
so...
things. I hate the idea of pre-ordering things, and I did it because Garrett told me to.
And you won't be disappointed.
So I'm gonna just jump. The one I'm most excited for is because when we played the beta, I loved it. It's great. It's a great concept. Is Valheim. It is a fantastic game. I loved it. It was just great. I dumped 70 hours or plus into a beta of a game that was just like open world. It was just fun. It was mindless fun that you can do when you're bored and you just have nothing else you want to play. Valheim is my anticipated game of the year.
Yeah, I think Valheim, just to jump on that train very quickly, the only reason Valheim isn't in any of our other categories that we just talked about is because it's still in early access right now, and we're only reviewing stuff that's full release. Valheim was an absolute standout, amazing game that came out this year in early access, but is going to full release next year. I'm also super excited for that. My game that I'm probably most excited for in 2022 is God of War Ragnarok. I am currently replaying God of War since it just released on the PC. It's been a PlayStation exclusive for a while and it just released on PC. Replaying that game, having a ton of fun, and cannot wait to see what kind of crazy, epic, amazing boss fights they do in Ragnarok.
I have heard that there's a Cuphead DLC coming out later this year. If you guys don't know what Cuphead is, it's a like 1920s, 1930s Disney-style cartoon as a difficult platforming game that mainly relies on boss fights. And the boss fights feel like its own cartoon. They do such a good job with music, animation, that they're just really fun games, and I'm excited to see whatever they're putting out as the DLC.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's coming in June, so I'm really excited for that.
What about you, Chris? What are you looking forward to?
For me, Epic announced in May of 2021 that Unreal Engine 5 was sort of in early access and being developed, and all of their properties that sort of use that as their physics engine are going to be migrating to it. And so for me, the thing I'm most anticipating is Rocket League moving to Unreal Engine 5. I'm not really sure how it's going to affect the gameplay in terms of like moment to moment sort of like experience, but apparently on the back end there's gonna be quite a lot of changes to how Rocket League works sort of online and interactively, and with sort of like there's a huge Rocket League sort of modding community, like custom map making and stuff, and I've seen some things from some of the bigger entities in that realm that are pretty excited about the capabilities that Unreal Engine 5 is going to unlock for them. So Rocket League and Unreal 5 is my thing for potentially 2022. Maybe we'll see.
Definitely thought you were going to say Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh, I mean, also Breath of the Wild 2. Well, but here's Breath of the Wild 2 was supposed to come out 3 years ago. So like,
yeah, for whenever it comes.
That it, fellas. Yeah, that's all we're talking about.
I think that's a great way to wrap up, is what we're looking forward to next year.
All right. That's going to do it for us here at Hidden Doors and High Scores. You can find us at HDHS Gaming on all social media platforms. Make sure to follow us on Twitter for notifications for when our new episodes are going to be releasing. Check us out on Twitch to see what we're playing and talking about. All those links and a link to our Discord will be in the show notes for this episode. Come join us on Discord, send us questions, comments, concerns, whatever. Hop in our voice channels, hang out with us. We hang out, play games there like every night when people join in.
Tell us what your favorite games from 2021 were.
Yeah, please do. We could always use more games to be playing. Always give us recommendations for stuff that's going to be coming out next year for us to review. That's it. Go away.
All right. Until next time, I'm Austin.
I'm Garrett.
I'm John.
And I'm Chris. Keep dippling those babs.
Peace.